the Trump administration's really showing its just absolutely abhorrent colors. Really showing just the transformation, the complete 180 that it campaigned on, the whole purpose of MAGA, what brought people to attention, what gave even someone like me, who personally has no, favoritism towards Trump. I wasn't a fan of his whatsoever, but I found a little bit of hope because he was that outsider that could shake things up in Washington, that we knew that the establishment was detrimenting against the rest of the country of America, that maybe this was the opportunity, that maybe Trump was actually going to do something. He became president in 2016 and people didn't think that was going to happen. And then they did all the unlawfare tactics. They did Russiagate. They did all this, bashing for years and years and years. Even when Joe Biden was president, they kept bashing Donald Trump because they thought how big of a threat he was to democracy and a threat to the system and the way of America and so on. And then he won in 2024. And I thought, hey, maybe there's opportunity. Maybe this is a time to grow, that over the last 4 years, he's taken some time to, do some soul searching and realize why 2020 was not his year. And he brought on RFK Jr., he brought on Tulsi Gabbard, he brought on these individuals thinking that, hey, maybe there's an opportunity to this. And it turns out, yeah, it wasn't going to happen. In the words of Russell Dobular of Due Dissidence, no one's coming to save you. And that's ultimately what we're seeing here. No matter who you vote for, electoral politics means shit. Like, that's the honest to God truth. That's pulling off the Band-Aid and revealing the scar of American politics. It doesn't matter who's in office. The entire system, the entire orchestration of governance, the entire Congress, everything is completely corrupted. And here's just to show you this. So Kash Patel, who for many years was kind of this outsider conspiracy theorist. People thought he was a bit nutty and crazy, but people had hope for him because, again, he promised he was going to shake things up. He was going to turn things around. He was going to go against the liberal establishment, censorship and whatnot. And then guess what? He became the FBI director, and he's pushing for censorship. So meet the new boss, same as the old boss. This is just a continuation of the same garbage, the exact same garbage. Here's Red Pill USA saying Kash Patel claims the internet's clickbait epidemic demands congressional action. I'm old enough to recall his own clickbait moment, promising to transform the FBI's Hoover building into a deep state museum and arrest Epstein's client. Remember that? Remember he went on all those podcasts talking about how he's going to, blow up the FBI, how he's going to look into their scandals, how he's going to, fire the people involved in corruption. He was going to really go after the deep state. And then guess what? He became the deep state. Which goes to show you, electorally, nothing matters. Doesn't matter who's in office. Doesn't matter what they say, or even if they do something accordingly at first, they're eventually going to fall into the swamp. And that's what Kash Patel's doing here. Because now he's promoting censorship. He's promoting censorship, particularly with commentators, people on social media, criticizing Israel. So not even for America's sake, but for a foreign country's sake. Take a listen.
The simple answer, in my opinion, is social media is wildly out of control, and there's too much clickbait in this country. And one of the things I highlighted at Congress in my testimony last week was, if we want to protect our youth, we got to get more involved in social media and online platforms, because that's where the folks, the assassins of this world, get radicalized. That's where they're the lone wolf actors in general. And so we have to get after that problem set. And I asked for Congress to help in doing so. But speaking of Charlie Kirk, who was a very dear friend of mine,
oh, God.
And then I was tasked with leading the nationwide manhunt to find the perpetrators involved. Of course, we were going to use every resource we have to find every single person involved. And the investigation's still ongoing. But we, as one of the pillars of my leadership here at the FBI, is transparency. We've produced more documents to Congress than my last two predecessors combined by twofold.
My priority at the FBI is transparency. Again, this is all the stuff he campaigned on until he got the position. Until he got the position of the FBI director, and I'm sure they took him into a back room. They showed him the extra footage of JFK and then asked him many questions. That's the joke response. But it's incredible. Oh, we're going to be so transparent. That's why we're not releasing the Epstein files. That's why we're covering up our crimes. That's why we're telling you not to investigate the Charlie Kirk assassination. Even though he's a good friend of mine. He's such a good friend of mine that I'm going to botch his investigation of who assassinated him. He's such a good friend of mine that I'm willing to use his name in vain to silence people. He's such a good friend of mine. I'm disgusted by that. I'm literally disgusted by that. I'm no fan of Charlie Kirk. I'm not a friend of his. I don't know him personally. I just see, occasionally on YouTube. But to me, it's insulting. That is insulting. Anyone that takes Charlie Kirk's name and then tries to say, well, that's why we need censorship. That's why we need a police state. That's why we need, in the name of Charlie Kirk. Charlie Kirk, who's defended free speech. That's why he did those road tours. That's why he went to college campuses. How many times have we had to show you the tweets where he said that hate speech is allowed because it's protected under the First Amendment? But here's Kash Patel, the pathetic liar that he is, trying to mealy-mouth at this, saying, oh, I'm still being transparent, but it has not shown any action towards that. He will not release the Epstein files. He will not release any documents on anything. But he will tell you to shut the hell up. And now, apparently, he's going after commentators. I kid you not. So this is from the Gray Zone. Kash Patel's girlfriend. So this woman here, who's a country singer, apparently. She's a rising country singer or wannabe country singer, who's boinking the FBI director. She's filing a $5 million lawsuit against podcaster for insinuation she's a Mossad agent. So this is completely opposite of what Trump's MAGA is supposed to be. This is completely opposite of, we got free speech back, baby. This is the complete opposite of doing everything against what Joe Biden was doing. This is a continuation of Joe Biden. Instead of censoring for transphobia and censoring to make everyone woke, they're censoring for Israel. They're censoring for a foreign country, which I find that even worse. You're censoring not even for American's sake. You're censoring because of a foreign country. You're going after your own people because of a foreign country. That's crazy. That's crazy. So before we get into the article here, let me explain what happened with this. So there was this post from Hen Mazen, who says Mossad sent female operatives deep into Iran, seducing top officials, infiltrating government surveillance networks, and carrying out sabotage missions. In one of these most audacious operations in its history, Mossad deployed blah, blah, blah. So I'm not going to go through all of it because it's a fairly lengthy post, but you get it. He's explaining how Mossad agents are being sent to America and elsewhere around the world to these allied nations in a honeypot operation, meaning that they scoop up individuals, particularly people that are single, posing as an eligible, single, attractive person, and get involved with them romantically, get them involved in a relationship so that they can, get secrets from them, so that they can do business operations, wherever the case may be. But that's what they're doing. They're sending agents from the Mossad posing as eligible single adults that can, date the FBI director and in a honeypot operation. So this is the tweet that started it. And then this guy, Elijah Schaefer, who has his own channel. He was part of Blaze. I can go into detail later. retweeted with this picture. Just this picture. That's all he did. No words, just this picture. Retweeted that tweet with just this picture. And now, that guy who retweeted this picture is being sued by the FBI on behest of his Kash Patel's girlfriend for $5 million. For a picture. For a picture. So, mirrored in the scandal over his leadership, the FBI director is lashing out against MAGA influencers for mocking his girlfriend as a Mossad honeypot and activating his legal network to slap them with frivolous multi-million-dollar lawsuits. The wind was at Kash Patel's back in the early months of 2023. It was during his period that the Trump-aligned legal operative met Alexis Wilkins, the then 24-year-old wannabe country music star who wanted to become his girlfriend, and launched his foundation, Fight with Kash, which pledged to unite America First patriots to fight the deep state. Well, congratulations, because that goes against everything you just stated there. You're doing exactly the opposite of what your pledge is. You're not America First. You're not fighting the deep state. You're going with the deep state to silence out Americans on behest of a foreign nation. That's incredible. That's incredible. With the telegenic Wilkins by his side, Patel seemed to be living out the quixotic storyline of a children's book he had co-authored a year earlier, The Plot Against the King, in which a fairy tale hero named Knight Kash embarks on a spree of revenges against the enemies of King Donald. Oh my God. But almost 3 years later, Patel's tenure as the FBI director appears to be unraveling in a series of embarrassing congressional testimonies and public meltdowns related to a suppression of Jeffrey Epstein's client list. Yes, Mr. Transparent. Patel recently activated his legal team to fire back against his most ferocious critics. However, the targets of his wrath are not deep state liberals or anyone resembling the Hillary Queenstown villain from his children's book, but the most ideological, zealous voices of the American First movement, whom he's accused of slandering his girlfriend. So this is Kash Patel going after MAGA. Trump going after Trump supporters, or used to be Trump supporters. And now a lot of people are regretting their vote because of this. Because of actions like this. Because you no longer have free speech. They're no longer America First. They never cared about you at this point, and they're continuing to demise America for the billionaire class, for the deep state, for the Pentagon, and for Israel. The disgustingless, baseless attacks against Alexis, a true patriot, and the woman I'm proud to call my partner in life are beyond pathetic, Patel complained on Twitter X on November 2nd, 2025. Attacking her is just wrong. It's cowardly and jeopardizes our safety. 5 days earlier, the law firm of Jesse Benal, Patel's personal lawyer and chair of his foundation, filed a bizarre lawsuit accusing right-wing podcaster Elijah Schaffer of having perpetrated a malicious lie against Alexis Wilkins, falsely claiming that she, an American-born country singer, is an agent of a foreign government assigned to manipulate and compromise the director. I just want to say, whether she is or isn't, if you're a 24-year-old, it doesn't matter who you are. If you're a 24-year-old and you're planning to sleep with the FBI director, a member of the federal government who has the highest position of federal authority, you're going to be met with criticism. You're going to be met with criticism. That's part of the relationship. I'm sorry, sweetheart, but that's part of it. You're going to boink the FBI director. Prepare for criticism about you. Prepare for people to acknowledge you and try to figure you out, and try to figure out why this 24-year-old wannabe country singer from supposedly Tennessee wants to date Kash Patel, who's the highest authority of the Federal Bureau of Investigations. Like, prepare for that. That's part of it. The suit also took aim at Schaefer because he frequently posts anti-Israel rhetoric, accusing Israel of controlling the United States and its politicians. So, if Alexis Wilkins was not an Israeli agent and not a Mossad honeypot, why would the lawsuit contain, 95% of the lawsuit contain frequent posts about anti-Israel rhetoric? Why would that be part of this lawsuit? Why even get that involved? It's either Kash Patel is lying and she actually is a honeypot, and we know that Kash Patel is servant to Israel, or it's nothing to do with Alexis whatsoever. And just, it's a frivolous way to attack a podcaster who's telling you the truth about Israel, who's telling you the truth about this odd allyship that Israel, the stranglehold that Israel has on America, and particularly the West in general. Schaefer rose to online prominence during the Biden era by rallying right-wing opposition to Antifa and Black Lives Matter activists. On January 6, 2021, he embedded among rioters into the U.S. Capitol and photographed the home screen of Nancy Pelosi's office computer. Schaefer commentary continues to outrage his opponents on the left while advocating the ethos and objectives of MAGA. Now he is one of a growing cast of American First influencers facing an aggressive legal assault waged from within Trump's inner circle. Again, these are people that are predominant Trump supporters, that now they're being attacked by Trump's own administration. The podcaster's alleged offense was quote tweeting a single photo of the FBI director arm in arm with Wilkins, who was clad in a red cocktail dress, above a separate tweet referencing honeypot operations. So we already explained that. Wilkins is seeking $5 million in damages from Schaefer from the seemingly humorous social media post. Schaefer's lawyer, Anya Lopez, told the Gray Zones he's never seen a lawsuit like this, describing it as a textbook slap suit or a strategic lawsuit against public participation. It's very troubling when government officials' girlfriends are suing members of the media for posting third-party comments, he said. He described his client's tweets as an opinion, clearly protected by the First Amendment. If you're the director of the FBI, you're holding the nation's secrets and national intelligence. We should be skeptical about your relationships. Exactly. You're a predominant figure of the Federal Security Alliance. You're the head of the FBI, for Christ's sake. This 24-year-old should expect, if you're going to date Kash Patel, who's the head of the FBI, to get a lot of scrutiny on her end. To be skeptical of who this woman is. Be prepared for that. That's part of being in that relationship. And if you can't handle that, then maybe you shouldn't be dating Kash Patel. Especially if it's an uncommitted relationship, like a girlfriend he committed. He commented, it's perfectly fine to raise questions about Elijah Schaefer that didn't even do that. He added that it may seek legal discovery of Patel's communications with Wilkins. If Kash does know about this lawsuit, and he hasn't stopped it from happening, that shows there's something wrong with this relationship. If he does know it's going on, it's highly improper. It makes him a witness in a lawsuit and puts his text messages in Wilkins' place. So this is what's going to slap Kash Patel right back in the face. This is when a cartoon meme would show a guy pointing a gun, but the barrel goes out and right back to his face. That's what Kash Patel's dealing with. Because now the girlfriend who's putting this lawsuit on a commentator and other commentators is going to hit Kash Patel even harder now. It's going right against Kash Patel himself. So this is a lose-lose for him. Schaefer is not the only right-wing podcaster Wilkins has targeted through the FBI uh, director's legal apparatus. This August 27th, Wilkins sued Kyle Sherpin, a former FBI agent and self-described conservative Catholic journalist who had become an outspoken critic of Patel's conduct. As with Schaefer, Wilkins used Patel's personal lawyer to sue Sherpin for satirical referencing her to a Mossad honeypot. Wilkins is also suing former congressional candidate and self-described American First Nationalist Sam Parker for $5 million for allegedly suggesting she was manipulating the FBI director on behalf of the Israeli intelligence. Sam Parker, who's done great work on the Charlie Kirk investigation, just a note. So this is the complete opposite of MAGA. This is detonating a bomb in MAGA world. That Trump is going after his own base, that Kash Patel and his girlfriend are doing this lawsuit thinking that they're going to own up onto these commentators, but it's going to fire right back out at them. So it's completely useless. So here's Eliza Schaefer saying, I was just sued for $5 million over my ex post criticizing Israel by FBI Director Kash Patel's inner circle. I've never engaged in defamation or illegal activity. Gross lawfare. This is an attack on free speech and embarrassment to the FBI and the Trump administration. Here's my response. So I'm not going to play the full thing because it's like 15 minutes long, but here's a few minutes of this and listen to what he says. It's pretty interesting.
Over the weekend, I received concerning news that I was being sued for $5 million by Kash Patel's girlfriend, Alexis Wilkins. And the reason why might actually shock you. About a couple months ago, I posted this photo on the public social media platform X. I posted it with no caption, no suggestions of any malintent or any slander, defamation, or criticisms of character. I did so attached to an X post shared by another account that I'm not connected to that talked about government agents being compromised. Now Alexis Wilkins is saying that I owe her $5 million for damages, the exact evaluation of my company, and if I cannot come up with that money, that I'm going to have to shut down my business, give up all of my digital assets and my entire voice online in order to pay her back. So why does Kash Patel's girlfriend want to silence me? Well, it comes down to the lawsuit itself. Before anyone jumps to conclusions and says, well, don't say that she's a honeypot, I'd like to say, I never did. I never would. I never felt like suggesting that, never even suggested that in my own head. So why am I being sued for something I never did? To give proof of that, in section 14 of the lawsuit, it states, while the defendant may not have included any caption to spell out the meaning of his post, he didn't have to. Ever since Kash Patel was appointed as director of the FBI in February of 2025, the conspiratorial corners of the internet and social media have been spreading false narratives about Miss Wilkins as an Israeli Mossad agent, spy, or quote, honeypot, who is only in the relationship with Kash Patel to spy on and manipulate the United States government. Defendant's wordless reply, it goes on to say. So to clarify, before we go any further, if you post a public photo of a government official and his romantic partner, who he's not married to, a very important fact we'll talk about, you as a private citizen or a member of the press can be bankrupted, have your entire company shut down, or completely mocked, slandered, and dragged through lawfare because of what? Because of your First Amendment protected rights. Now, I believe that this...
So, that says a lot. That says a lot. That not only is this an attack on just the First Amendment because of a photo, but also highlights the security concerns of all this. This woman is not attached to Kash Patel merely, biologically, or in any means necessary. This is a strange woman that Kash Patel is hooking up as a potential girlfriend, and you're talking about a man who is in charge of the FBI that has important secrets, important documents, classified information that is a concern for any American, for any person to realize this. And that's why people criticize Alexis Wilkins for who this woman is. That's the unfortunate part. Like, you're boinking the FBI director. He's high up in the intelligence agency. Yes, you're going to be scrutinized. I don't know if you're a honeypot. I'm not sure if you're part of Israel, but whether the case may be, it doesn't excuse you from journalists like Elijah Schaffer and many others to criticize, to look and investigate, to openly state, why is this wannabe country singer dating the FBI director at a time where you are in a position of power and authority that could be compromising, that could be a security concern, that the rest of Congress, you think, be concerned about this. Like, the FBI director is dating a strange woman that we don't know anything about, we haven't vetted, we have no idea who this woman is, other than the fact that she wants to be a country singer. And apparently he took a, $6 million private jet to fly down to Las Vegas for her to perform at a wrestling match. Like, these are concerning. These are concerning things. And we know that the honeypot method is it's not nothing new. Like, this has been going on for quite some time. This is a tactic that foreign agents, that Mossad, MI6, even the CIA has done with other nations in compromising situations. So it doesn't excuse Americans and American people like Kash Patel in a position of power and authority like this to be compromised with the honeypot scenario. But it's amazing. He's getting a $5 million lawsuit for a photograph. Not suggesting anything, not even highlighting anything. There was no words, no caption, just simply showing a photograph of the two of them. But because it was retweeted by some other guy, that compromises him. And then he has to shut his business down. So this is all an attack of this guy's freedom of speech. They want to shut down his business because this is a guy, this is an advocate, a MAGA first advocate that's going against Israel. And we know that Trump is very staunchly in support of Israel, no matter what, which is completely the opposite of what MAGA represents. So here's Adam Media. Kash Patel said he was going to team up with Democrats to push censorship of Americans. Democrats, the one that are closing down the government, the Democrats that want to fund healthcare to illegals and all the other crap that they keep, messing up with you and trying to manipulate and all that stuff. It's all crap. It's all theatrics. Because in the end, they do come together. There is actual unity with the Democrats and Republicans, but it's not unity for the best. It's unity for the worst. Kash Patel is saying he wants to team up with Democrats to censor and silence Americans. For doing what? Sharing conspiracy theories. You mean how Kash Patel even got started in this world? Kash Patel has been on how many podcasts sharing conspiracy theories? And now he wants to silence conspiracy theories because now he's in a comfortable position of power and can do this stuff. Same with Dan Bongino. Dan Bongino, who is a podcaster, spreads conspiracy theories, goes into tyrants of his own. Now that he's the assistant FBI director, he's also pursuing censorship because he's in a comfortable government position and he can do whatever the hell he wants. And I'm sure that someone's breathing down his neck telling him to do this. But watch this unfold.
No, there are extremes on the left and there are extremes on the right. And we collectively should tackle that. But to come here and just look at us and say we all support what's going on in the extremes is why we can't solve anything in this building. Director, let me say first, thank you for being here, and my condolences on the loss of your friend. And I'm happy to hear that you want to do more on the social media platforms. Okay, it's crazy what's going on the social media platforms. There are so many conspiracy theories on what's going on with Charlie Kirk. Israel assassinated him, right? There are conspiracy theories about your personal social life all day. It is totally rampant. Big names on the right, Candace Owens, right? Talking about how what's been released as far as the dialogue between the perpetrator and his roommate is manufactured by the FBI, manufactured by the administration. It is totally rampant, allowing foreign governments to just perpetrate these platforms, all of these bots, all of the time to weaponize Americans. You see what's going on here? This is a byproduct of all of that. What's going on in the streets is a byproduct of all of that. What's happening is you see people celebrate Luigi Mangione is a byproduct of all of that. And so if we want to do something, then we should talk about Section 230. We should talk about how we're going to make sure that we don't let foreign governments poison our children's mind. And so I will work with you on that, Director.
I'll work.
Yeah, we got to make sure foreign governments are poisoning children's minds on social media. Unless it's Israel. Unless it's Israel. Then that's okay. If it's Israel, Saudi Arabia, or our master control to deceive people, that's fine. But we can't allow people to be exposed like China, for example. Oh my God, creating cars that are only $10,000 that can also be a drone and fly around in circles and the mastermind. Oh my God, we can't expose them to that. Again, this is absurd. This should be the red flag. This should be the mental kind of mind pop. You should be having alarm bells going off to realize that all this, the Democrats versus Republicans, left versus right, this duopoly is theatrics. It's a joke. Kash Patel's a joke. He is the deep state. He's not fighting against it. He is the deep state. Trump's not fighting the deep state. He is the deep state. No matter who you vote for, electorally, it doesn't make a difference. All these people are designed and manipulated purposely to go against you. That's what we're seeing here. That's what we're seeing here. And they're purposely aligned together to silencing out Americans and their right of free speech. All because of a photograph. Wow. So here's this guy. I think sums it up perfectly. This guy, JB. Kash Patel spent years playing the influencer tough guy routine, chasing clicks, doing every podcast under the sun, branding himself as a guy who was coming for the corrupted. Now suddenly he wants to play establishment enforcer and silence anyone who criticizes Israel. Spare me. The FBI director is out there talking about social media being out of control and openly pushing to censor the internet. And right on cue, Kash's girlfriend is suing Elijah Schaffer for $5 million. Perfect timing, perfect optics, perfectly corrupt. This dude built his name on clickbait and outrage until he got close to the government machine. Then he flipped. Now he pretends there's no corruption, pretends he's some defender of justice, and tries to take down critics the moment power pats him on the head. Controlled opposition at its finest. They're not protecting America. They're protecting their handlers. Yes. Exactly right there. That's great perception. That's great points right there. Because, as I stated, and this is where you got to come to the final conclusion, no matter who you vote for, red or blue, no matter what politician, even if they say the right thing, even they use the mealy-mouthed, cozy words that makes you feel good inside, the minute they get a position of power, they are going to go against you. Look what happened with AOC. Look what happened with the Squad. Look what happened with Bernie. Look what happened to any people. Look what happens in our government here in Canada. Because it's so massively corrupted, the system. Not just people, the system. Because there's handlers, there's lobbyists, it's a mafia. You don't live in a democracy, you live in an oligarchy, and there's handlers and mafia men and women that control and manipulate these people. You don't have any choice. It's the illusion of choice. And Kash Patel is the example of just how just awful the whole entire Washington political structure really is. That guy who played the tough guy, played the outsider role, just like Trump, just like so many other people, played the outsider role so perfectly that people voted for them, got them elected, and now they're going against the people that got them elected. Shows you how screwy this system is. And it's all done by this guy. It's all done by this guy who wrote this children's book. I can't, I'm still fathomed by this. The FBI director who wrote a fairy tale fictional children's book called The Plot Against the King. Like, I don't know how I can take this guy seriously anymore. I literally don't know how to take this guy seriously. I gave some credit. I gave some hope because I believed in giving credit where credit's due. I had some opportunity for this guy. You know, now with all this and everything that he's covering up and lying to you, I'm just done. I'm done with this. I'm done with having opportunity. I'm done with having hope within politics. Because like I said, it's the system that's corrupted. It's not just people. This is unbelievable. The new FBI director wrote a children's book portraying Trump as a rightful king who was wrongfully opposed but restored to his throne. More foreshadowing Trump as a king. The narrative of a precursor divinely chosen ruler returning his glory has always been the setup. And, you know, another point that Russell Dobler of Due Dissonance also pointed out that, you know, the reason Trump is president and not someone like Kamala Harris or even Hillary Clinton for that matter is Trump is a businessman. Trump is a salesman. And they need that kind of salesman mentality and personality to sell you globalism, to sell you all this, to sell you the digital IDs, because it's happening. It's happening. You didn't go against the WEF. You're not going against the deep state. It's coming. It's coming no matter what. But Trump in office, Trump being the centerfold of politics and being the guy that's going on TV and selling you this makes you feel good because Trump is that salesman quality that the establishment is looking for to please the peasants. Oh, because Trump's saying it, it must be good. Because if Kamala was saying it, people would be up in arms. They'd be freaked out. Oh my God, how crazy and sinister and maniacal this woman is. But it's okay because it's Trump. It's okay because it's Trump. And you got people in the cult behavior mentality that think Trump is a literal king, thinking that's a good idea. Thinking that, you know, real ID is a great idea. That, you know, starving farmers so that we please Argentina is a great idea. Sending troops to Israel to go die in vain in more Middle Eastern wars. That's good. Continuing to spend more in Ukraine is a good idea. So, the whole Trump administration played you like fools. Same way Barack Obama played the Democrats like fools. And now people have to understand, no, this is a black pill moment for a lot of people, but you got to swallow this pill hard. Understand, none of these people are on your side. No one's coming to save you. Electoral politics means shit to anyone in the country. And this should be the opportunity for people to wake up and realize that Democrats don't care. Republicans don't care. Elected politicians don't give a crap because they're dealing with their masters. They're really just a bunch of whores running around a big office. And none of them give a damn about you or anyone that voted for them. And they're going to continue to lie and slander and do this kind of crap against the majority of the population to serve their masters, serve the oligarchy. Which is not, it's not a democracy. It's not a republic. It's an oligarchy. Plain and simple.